Okay, so the thing we're going to do is consider we're going to remember this definition. So we're going to assume E equals A over B, and then we're going to look at this sum of 1 over n factorial, where n goes from 0 up to b. So this is 1 plus 1 over 1 factorial plus 1 over 2 factorial plus 1 over b factorial.
Alright.
So we're going to look at whatever b is. I mean, maybe b is 7, or maybe b is an enormously large number, but it's some number. And we just stop there in the sum.
Okay.
Okay. And now we're going to look at the sum. We're going to look at, what should I call this sum? Let's just call it x. We're going to look at e minus x. Now e has to be bigger than x. Why?
Because this sum x is a part of e.
Okay, it's just a part of it. It stops at b. E would continue.
This sum is also rational.
This sum is also rational, but we're assuming
E is
rational. So this is equal to a over b minus x. And then what I do is I multiply, this is by our assumption, right? I'm going to multiply everything by b factorial. I'm not going to calculate what this is, but this becomes b factorial times a over b. What can you say about that?
So that's going to be, the b at the end is going to cancel.
Okay.
You're going to be left with a times b minus 1 factorial.
Okay. And can you say anything about that number?
Well, you know that it's... Actually, you don't know that it's... You know that a is larger than b to begin with.
Okay, you know that a is larger than b.
So you know that the number a times b minus 1 factorial will be larger than b factorial.
Okay.
You also know it's rational.
How do you know it's rational?
We know that b factorial is rational.
Okay.
You know that b is rational.
But it started out being rational. Rational times rational.
Yeah. So it will stay rational.
Stays rational. Anything more than rational?
It's an integer.
Why?
Because you don't know anything on the bottom anymore. B is an integer.
Okay, so we get integer minus, so I multiply the b factorial through. Now what happens when I take this expression and multiply it by b factorial?
Well, you're going to get a b factorial,
Okay.
and then a b factorial over 1 factorial, b factorial over 2 factorial, all the way up down to 1.
Okay. And what can you say about that number?
Well, it's larger than e.
Certainly.
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, assuming b is bigger than 1.
There's not a lot that you can say. But so I guess you know the tops are gonna go like you're gonna have 1 and then b minus 1. No. Yeah, 1 b minus 1 and then all the way down to b factorial. It's gonna be here.
Where are you going to get the b minus 1?
When you have no. Well, you have b factorial and then you're gonna have b minus 1 factorial is gonna be the next one. Then everything with the b factorial you multiply cancels except for the b.
What's the term before this?
It's b minus 1 factorial.
No, it's not. What's the term before this?
Before b factorial?
But
before 1 over b factorial. It's
Yeah.
1 over b minus 1 factorial.
Okay. Okay, so what happens when I multiply by b, this by b factorial? What am I left with?
Well, you're left with a b on the top.
So this one, writing it backwards, would be 1 plus b. And what would be the next term?
It would be b times b minus 1.
Okay. B minus 1.
And then all the way up to, you get b factorial at the end.
Okay, and what can you say about this number?
You know it's an integer.
Why?
Because b is an integer.
Okay. So this strange expression, so I assumed e was a fraction.
Mhm.
and I subtracted away this sum, and I multiplied the whole thing by b factorial, and I ended up with an integer minus an integer, which is
An integer.
an integer. So it's just a tiny little bit of calculating. This one's easy to see that it's an integer, the first term. The second term, you have to multiply the b factorial through and look at what you get. But you get an integer. So I get an integer minus an integer, which is an integer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And now we're going to look at the same expression using the full definition of e, rather than what we assumed the fraction was,
Okay.
and see what we get.